The CEO laughed as he cut my benefits. Not a nervous laugh. Not a mistake. A clean, confident laugh, sharp as a paper cut, delivered across a polished conference table while HR pretended to study her notes. "You're just the IT guy," he said. "You don't matter." I nodded. I always nodded back then. What he didn't know, what none of them ever bothered to ask, was that I owned the patent for the software their entire company ran on, and that patents don't care about job titles. The stock dropped 80% overnight. I watched it happen in silence, alone in my kitchen. Coffee untouched, dawn bleeding in through the blinds. News alerts stacked up on my phone like missed calls from a burning building. Trading halted. License revoked. Breach of contract alleged. I didn't smile. I didn't celebrate. I just exhaled. Slow. Controlled. Like someone finally letting go of a weight they'd been carrying for years. I wasn't always invisible. I joined the company when it was still 3 rented rooms and a pitch deck held together by hope. I built their system from scratch, every workflow, every dependency, every line that made the product scale instead of collapse. Nights blurred into mornings. Weekends vanished. I told myself it was temporary. That loyalty mattered. I had a family then, a mortgage, a belief that competence earned respect. They called me the backbone in early meetings. They trusted me at offsites. They trusted me with everything except authority. I told myself titles were meaningless. I believed them when they said, "We're all equals here." That belief was my first mistake. The tone changed quietly. Meetings I used to lead were suddenly restructured. Decisions I used to make were now executive level. My access was trimmed under the excuse of security best practices. My budget request stalled, then vanished. Then came the benefits review. They framed it like efficiency, optimization, aligning compensation with role impact. I watched the numbers drop while they maintained eye contact, daring me to object. The CEO leaned back in his chair, fingers steepled, already bored. That's when he laughed. "You don't matter." Something inside me went still, not angry, not shocked, focused. I didn't confront him. I didn't argue. I went home and opened the old files. The patent drafts, the original architecture documents. The licensing agreement I'd insisted on years ago when the lawyers told me it was overkill. "Just in case," I'd said. The contract was clear. Painfully clear. My software was licensed to the company under strict conditions: attribution, benefit protections, and non-dilution of role without mutual consent. They'd breached it. Multiple times. They just assumed I'd never check. I felt the hurt then, brief, sharp, but it didn't linger. Hurt wastes energy. What replaced it was something colder: precision. I became invisible on purpose. I documented everything. Emails, meeting recordings, policy changes, benefit reductions. I cross-referenced timelines, annotated violations, and let them keep underestimating me. I hired a lawyer without telling anyone, not a loud one, a patient one. We didn't threaten. We didn't warn. We prepared. I continued doing my job perfectly. No disruptions. No attitude. I smiled in hallways. I nodded in meetings. I fixed problems before they were noticed. Silence is convincing when people already believe you're harmless. They didn't see the countdown. The notice went out at 30:17 a.m., license revoked effective immediately due to material breach of contract. By 9 COs at M. The company was dead in the water, systems locked, processes frozen. Clients panicking. By noon, my phone rang. It was the CEO. His voice was different now. Tight, controlled, afraid. "This is a misunderstanding," he said. I let the silence stretch, let him hear himself breathing. "You laughed when you cut my benefits," I finally said. Calm, even. "That wasn't a misunderstanding." Threats followed. Then bargaining. Then legal jargon delivered too fast to sound confident. I told him the same thing each time. Read the contract. By the end of the day, the board was involved. Lawyers replaced executives. The CEO stopped calling. The stock didn't recover. Trust never does. I didn't stay to watch the company die. I licensed the software to their competitor instead. Fair terms, mutual respect, clear boundaries. I took a week off for the first time in years. Sat in the quiet. Let the adrenaline drain out slowly. People ask me now if it felt like revenge. It didn't. It felt like balance. Like standing up straight after being bent for too long. The CEO eventually resigned. I read about it in a headline while grocery shopping. I didn't stop walking. Because the truth is simple. I was never just the IT guy, and I always mattered. They just didn't realize it until everything they built stopped working without me.